Sebring International Raceway is a venue steeped in the legends of global sports car racing, and the historic 12-hour event March is a must-do for driver and fan alike. But Sebring has a very busy calendar year-round, and to make it all more efficient, at just under 4 miles, it can also offer up 2 shorter courses for racing and testing. Enter the infamous Sebring Club course. Now, while it eliminates the most legendary of Sebring's bumps, turns 1 and 17, rest assured there are still bumps aplenty. And at just shy of 1.7 miles, well, that just means they come at you twice as fast. SCCA Central Florida region also holds a huge late October full regional on that club course, and one of the classes is, of course, Spec MX5. As a preview to that event this year, tonight the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing SMX League takes us to that track for round 8 of 2025 Season 2 as Full Send Sims continues to live up to its motto of practice makes podium. Hi folks, I'm Greg Creamer and welcome to the second half of the season. Joining me is Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, for some reason this track with these cars just seems to always produce phenomenal racing.
Maybe it's the home field advantage. There's a lot of drivers that call this place home, and this configuration, though we don't see it raced a ton in iRacing, nor really even at the amateur racing level, you're on the full course most of the time. It still offers a lot of those heavy braking corners and a lot of the back and forth that create such fantastic racing. It's a great size for a car like an SMX as well. So we see great racing here on the full course and the shortened configuration. It just gets kind of bumper to bumper here, and you get elbows out quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. And you've got to get a little creative in spots. Obviously, into the hairpin at the bottom of the screen right now, that's easily the best overtaking area. But there are other spots that you can get creative and make some passes happen. There's Carson Neal, that blue car heading right at us, looking really good here thus far in this session as he is atop the order. Although that's going to, obviously he bails on that lap at this point. But this is just a neat place. And as I said, you still get plenty of bumps around here. You get the tarmac changes. So you get a lot of what makes Sebring Sebring. It just comes at you a little bit quicker. And you've got an interesting start-finish line here that I seem to continually miss.
It's hard because there's really just a white painted line that's kind of across from a service road. It's really not much of a... They don't make a big deal out of it, do they?
No, they really don't.
It's definitely not like crossing the equator or anything. So you have this whole backside of the course, which is a really interesting section on the full layup. But then right here, we're on board with Thomas Bellin. We're going to take this hard right and basically shortcut to what is turn 3 on the full configuration, and you start things all back over again. But this right-left flick, the run down into the hairpin, really creates a lot of fun opportunity. But you don't really get to a high top speed here, so slipstreaming isn't really a big deal. And the accuracy of where you place the car on the racetrack is really going to make or break your speed.
Well, very true. I mean, we've seen an awful lot of drivers. Let's put it this way. It's a track where the driver can make a big difference as opposed to just slipstreaming, as you said. And, getting creative in certain spots around the track. One of them is that really hard, the 90 as they call it here, that hard right that connects the 2 tracks. You'll see a lot of different line choices taken into that. Not just to necessarily drive speed off of the exit, but to try and get the car in front of you, to try and cover you and get offline a little bit themselves. And there's lots of that you can play at here.
Hey, here's Beans Forster giving us a look on board with the pedal traces and things as well. He's got Kurt Schmidt in front of him, giving him a little bit of a hard time. But again, this is a tight racetrack. Or actually, that's Thomas Bellin in the 718, maybe just warming up tires. But Kurt is in a similar looking black car, the number 33, and he's going to give us again his perspective inside the Full Send Sims workshop. There you go, a couple Sims on the workbench.
I love that look.
And he's off in the corner over there.
Yep, you just see those screens aglow there. And, that's interesting, talking about Thomas Bellin. He has been so fast when he has shown up, but he has also had some sort of fluky little things happen. And the surprise to me was looking at it that his average start was 12th.
Yeah.
And he came out of the gate. He had a pole, and yet his average start's 12th. Tells you the kind of struggles he's been dealing with.
Yeah, and struggles in qualifying at this place are going to translate to the race as well. It's going to be pretty hard to overtake here relative to some of the larger tracks that we've been on. And look at that track temp, 103 degrees, kind of a scorcher down here in Sebring. And with all the load you're putting into these tires, I think you don't necessarily deal with wear so much in these short 20-minute races, but you do definitely deal with tire temperature being a factor, especially when you're sliding them around at these kind of all mechanical grip corners down here.
Well, and that's really important too, is, as you slide a tire, you really generate a tremendous amount of surface heat. It doesn't heat through the entire tire, and if you do that enough, you can start to blister the tire up a little bit, and then you start losing substantial grip. So I think you bring up a good point here. You can't just be playing pitch and catch all the time here. You've got to be driving smooth, and part of the reason is these are still Miatas, right? As great as they are, they're a little underpowered, so if you're spending time sideways, you're wasting forward momentum in these cars, and so just chucking them into turns is really a double-edged sword.
One of the newcomers this season, William Vanselkema in the 28. Pretty impressed with his running so far. We're a little light on entries here tonight, 18. Now, I think part of this, Greg, is due to this particular configuration of this racetrack being a little bit less inspiring than maybe the full course. So if you're going to sit out around because you're busy, this is probably one of the ones that you'd pick. But this is going to give drivers like Vanselkema a great opportunity to claw themselves a little further up the order and steal some points. They don't value points any less for any particular round, so you might as well run on the lighter nights and pick yourself up some more.
Well, exactly right, and it's kind of nice, actually, I think, on this layout to sometimes, instead of having 35 cars, to have a little bit lighter field, because it gives you more room.
Hope I lost you there, Greg.
You're back.
You're back.
Yep. Yeah, it gives you room when you've got slightly lighter entries here to actually, have more room to race, than just be packed in traffic, although we find that to be incredibly entertaining. But for the drivers, they'll probably like it just a little bit more.
Just about 5 minutes to go in qualifying before we turn them loose for 2 races back-to-back in round 8 of the season. 15 weeks on the calendar, 30 races total. And so we're basically starting the halfway point, starting the second half of the season at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. And after his last round, Camden Hibbett, who was going for a second championship, did what he needed to do in that previous round. Because remember, he had gained, he was just barely ahead of Beans going into that round, and now he's up by 41 points. He really had a great round at Summit Point and did exactly what he needed to do. 41 adrift to him is Morgan Burkhart, but then only one back of Morgan is Beans, and then Nicholas Rice Pudo is not outside of it by any means. And Hayden Manis, he's jumped up into the 5th spot from and a big change, up 7 spots. And it was because he had an extraordinary weekend, or event, I should say, at Summit. It's something that we've been waiting for him to have. We've seen his speed, and he said he just loves that track, and it all clicked for him. And hopefully he can keep that kind of momentum going. Yeah, great round for him there. And you're right about the momentum. He's going to ditch off to the right there and get out of the way of the traffic in behind. Just carrying momentum from round to round. There's so much that's psychological about motorsport, even in the sim racing world. And if you carry that psychological weight of a bad week into another week, it'll just continue to happen over and over and over. But if you have the tides turn your way, you can take advantage of it and ride that wave. I think you're in a great spot. Deacon Greenfield's another one of those drivers that's had some promising runs as of late, although qualifying not looking quite like what he'd like so far. About 8/10 off the pole, P11 right now. Yeah, back a little bit farther than he'd like. And, speaking, we were talking about Camden and that confidence thing. Prior to Summit, he had talked about he just didn't feel quite as clicked on, if you will, switched on this year in the beginning, third of the season. And he said he was a little frustrated. He needed to get right that ship a little bit. And boy, did he. And when we did the interview with him at the end of Summit, he said, this is the event I've been waiting for. And so now we'll see whether he's able to capitalize on it. Right now, though, he's only 4th. In this qualifying run and running out of time. He just ditched out of a lap. Yes, these are short laps, but he's going to need to get after it. Yeah, still maybe a time for one more. Here's Court Schmidt
And I feel like this car gets less and less decals every week as it kind of blends into the background with the shadows he's got. But again, love the perspective he's given us with the onboard over the shoulder here. And here's another closer look at that rig.
That's so cool.
It's got motion too, so we'll watch it as he jumps into the braking zone here. We'll see that represented in a moment. In about 3, 2, 1, and there it is, shifts around.
Yeah.
You can see it turn in, and yeah, it's really, really neat to see that.
Yeah, it's really cool when you get that axis that works on all 3 of the axes, so you don't just get pitch and roll, you get yaw, you get everything. That's pretty cool. Ooh, look at that, hit that curve pretty good.
Sure did. Here's what that looked like on the outside a moment ago. Boom.
Yeah. And that's all part of Court's belief and the whole idea behind Full Sense Sims, that this is a tool. And that's why they have that practice makes podium that I mentioned at the top, is that for him, this is a tool to make you a better real world driver. And so the more you can emulate what goes on a real world track from Court's perspective and from Full Sense Sims perspective, that's golden.
Thomas Belleman defending from pole from Nicholas Rice-Puto. Now, we were having a discussion pre-race about the pronunciation of Nicholas's name. Tells us 2.5 years in that it might be Ricaputo.
That's what he put in a note on Discord. Now, I asked him, I said, all right, is this for real? I mean, you waited 2.5 years to give us that update, or are you just playing with us? And we haven't heard back on that yet, so we'll probably mix it up a little bit here.
We'll go back and forth and see until someone corrects us in the comments on YouTube.
I like that. I like that.
30 seconds left here. The only car that has yet to get a lap time is Charles Vaccaro. We haven't seen Charles in a little while.
No, we haven't.
The 221, and I think
put one in here.
Yeah, he might get one in. Maybe not quite. He's on the backside of the short course here, so he'll start at the tail of the field. 19-car field here tonight. Oh, someone went boom there.
Yeah, heard that.
And checkered flag is out, and Thomas Belleman will be on the front row alongside Nicholas Ricaputo. Oh boy.
And Beans Forster.
Yep.
And Camden, no better than 4th. That's where he was. A nice job by William Venselkama, though, up into that top 6. So great qualifying effort for him. Obviously, I was already talking quite a bit about Full Sense Sims and what their mission is. And of course, Court had the vision to create this league, yes, as a promotional tool for Full Sense Sims, but also his desire was to take sim racing in terms of the production and presentation to a new level. And we are sure grateful for him for doing that. Also need to say a huge thank you to Sabelt. They came on board with us recently, and it's the only company in the sector with an internal test lab that performs FIA level tests on its products, and that's really, really crucial and absolutely great. FARA, the Formula and Automobile Racing Association, Florida-based, and still the most accessible road racing for spectators, and in many ways for competitors alike. Very, very low cost on tickets for fans, entry fees for drivers, and they also have a great diversity of machines. So if you can find a FAR event, make sure you come out and take a peek. 3P Logistics, the full logistical support for you, the family, your race car. They'll take care of everything from booking flights, rental cars, the entire thing while you're away from home. And Final Turn Motorsports. These are the 2 companies that have been with us since day 1 as sponsors. And Final Turn, a front-running chassis builder, partnered with the best engine builders in the Spec Miata and SMX or Spec MX-5 class. Wine Country Motorsports, literally the racer's resource for helmet, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses for over 30 years. They do an incredible job. And so we're lucky to have a great group of sponsors, and let's get through the starting lineup. Thomas Belleman hanging on for that pole and starting alongside Nicholas Rice-Puto.
Yeah, we're not going to have very long because this pace lap is about 10 feet long. Beans Forster, Camden Hibbett started row number 2. Carson Neal, James Newell in row 3. Then Venselkema and Dylan Lee wrap up row 4, followed by Hayden Manis and Seth Spolman. That's probably all we're going to get done here in this incredibly short pace lap, Greg, as the safety car is going to take the right in just a moment's time. And you can take us to the green there as soon as they throttle up.
All right, there you can see those lines. That's your start-finish line, and we're green! We are racing, and I'll tell you, Bellarmine not getting the greatest of starts, and Nicholas Ricaputo jumps into the lead, and fortunately for Camden, he was flashing in and out, and he was able to go. There's Jim Friedhofer, who got a little help getting turned. Camden sitting in third, so we got the jump on Beans, and was able to pick up at least a spot.
Ricaputo leads. Oh boy, here comes the 0-3 on defense from Bellarmine. Camden Hibbett to third, Beans Forster to fourth, and James Newell to fifth. Hayden Manis shuffled off course there.
Yeah, he did, and I think, I'll tell you, Bellarmine doing a great job, and looked up for a second like he was going to get that nose ahead, but couldn't do it. And look at Camden working the outside line. And if he can get up alongside Bellarmine and pinch him to the inside as they get to the hairpin here, sometimes that can work for you. And Beans opting to go with Camden, so we've got them side by each twice coming in here. And yeah, it really didn't work for either. Ooh, a little tap there. Hibbett really having some problems with internet connection, isn't he?
Yeah, struggling tonight for sure, and I don't know that he'll last the night. That could be big for the points. Here comes Forster now, trying to pick which lane is going to go. I think the inside lane, right side, is the better spot to be at the moment. And Ricaputo, contact, Beans gets clobbered.
He got up on two wheels, and I'm not sure whether that was Newell or Bellarmine, but Thomas Bellarmine lost a lot of ground there. That was Bellarmine, and wow, that was... If Beans gets away with it unscathed, I'd be stunned.
I think he's all right, and I think Bellarmine got some damage in that process as well. He's now dropped to 9th. You were talking about how his average start was only 11th, and again, him starting deeper in the field with all the pace he has, that's kind of what's buried him a little bit despite his incredible pace.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think in that exchange, talking about, before that contact with Beans, as they went through the 90, down into the hairpin, I think Bellarmine got really just sort of shuffled out of the way because he was, sitting up in the top two at that point. Now, Ricaputo makes the move to the outside of Camden, and again, side by side, Camden's going to have the best line through here. Ricaputo moves over, gives him plenty of room.
Yeah, Carson Neal filters to third, and then it's a good ways back to James Newell, then Dylan Lee, then Hayden Manis, Greenfield, Spolman, Bellarmine, and Venzel Kemma, the rest of the top 10. But Lee's drivers are fighting. It'll bring Neal right back into the picture.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Carson was the guy's, Nicholas Ricaputo. Camden just got a great drive out of Cunningham there, and that's going to pay big dividends. And look at this. Great move by Carson as he gets up underneath Ricaputo as they head up into the tower turn, and he's clear before they even get to turn in. That was a great read of what was unfolding by Carson.
It was a great read. This is one of those racetracks, though, that the leader can pull away and put a big gap on the field without the draft really holding everything together. So you can't race for second for too long unless you've got the pace to run down Camden Hibbett. We'll see if Neal can do just that.
Yeah, Carson, I'll tell you, with that incident with Beans and Bellarmine, he somehow threaded his way through and just did a superb job. And it's a pretty big gap now over a second from Ricaputo back to Newell, sitting in that fourth spot with Dylan Lee right there. Let's see if Nicholas can try and do anything here. No, not yet. But boy, they have closed up on the back of Hibbett, so Carson doing the job right now.
Yeah, everyone else pretty single file at the moment. No other battles formulating deeper in the field, so we can kind of keep our energies focused at the front here. 4 minutes down, 16 to go. And Neal is keeping it tight with Hibbett. That time by was actually a 10th quicker.
Yeah, doing a really, really nice job here. And there is a recovering Bellarmine. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Taking a look at his lap time, his last one was a 15.5. So he's a second and a half quicker than anybody else in front of him at this point. So he's certainly got pace, but well, he's got to get through a lot of traffic. And Deacon Greenfield's the first guy right in front of him here. Love watching Deacon in the office.
Yeah, so focused, rolling through the gears the old-fashioned way. He's ripped too. Look at those arm muscles flexing.
Exactly.
See Bellarmine size him up for the run down towards the hairpin, but again, not a lot of time to build the draft. There's just enough at the end of the straight to maybe pop out. 112 miles an hour is usually your VMAX here, but Bellarmine stays in line.
Yeah, looked like he had a nice little run. Ooh, looked like
Whoop.
Oh, Deacon got a little bit crossed up. Bellman had to check up big time. And instead of being able to make the pass, he actually, Seth Spolman got through, and it looks like Vesselkama might as well. What happened here?
I think he missed a gear. Yeah, sounded.
Yep.
Yeah, so you just something went wrong in the gearbox there. Just couldn't get it going again. 3 wide. Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. That's so tough.
Court
Just
Schmidt.
A little bit of a touch there. Yeah, but it was Court and Vesselkama.
Hey, Himmelsbach there in the red car on the left.
Boy, he just got hip checked big time. That's what we were talking about with this place. It just unrelenting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Lime Rock of the South, isn't it? This
It
short,
is.
a lot of right-hand corners, not a lot of straightaway. Got to get the elbows out to make a pass. Big tall curbs. Look at Himmelsbach jamming up the inside of Court Schmidt there. That was tight.
Yeah, Court just missing that apex a little bit, and Himmelsbach just jumping on that.
Beans Forster recovering.
Working with Court. Now popping to the outside. Trying to read what's going to be the quicker way to go here. And this is, this is a really unfortunate deal for Beans because he had a really good qualifying. We've talked about it a lot, and he's really working on being better at qualifying, and he did it here. He had a really good qualifying run, and then got tapped and obviously dropped way back down the order. Boy, I'll tell you, as long as Court and Himmelsbach here are side by, Court got the curb and he and Himmelsbach touched. Hate to say it, but Beans really needed that.
And a little bit of a melee here for fourth. James Newell, Dylan Lee, Hayden Manis trading spots. And Carson Neal has kept Camden Hibbett honest.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Shirt matches the livery tonight.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. All he needs is yellow hair. I'll tell you what, another great run here by Dylan Lee with Manis right there. Doing a superb job. And how about Seth Spolman up into 8th? That is a great run for Seth. It's great to see.
He's got Thomas Bellman hunting him down right now, though. See if he can hang on to it.
Yes, he does.
Won't go defensive. He'll leave the door open to Bellman, and Thomas outbreaks him there into 7. But did he outbreak himself? Rotors are glowing.
Yeah, he missed the apex a little bit, but was able to get it turned in and make it still work here. So now it'll be interesting to see whether Bellman can run this cue down. Nicholas trying to go to the outside here of Carson. Ooh, wow.
Oh, in the dirt.
Way wide here.
Oh,
Carson
man.
gave him enough room coming on. That was a lot of respect there with Carson. And now Newell's going to dive up the inside of Rice Pudo. Side by side through the tower turn. Rice Pudo going to run wide again. Then rejoins and just dives back up the inside.
Oh, little hip checks here and there.
Oh, and that's Dylan Lee. Did he save it? He did, but that lets Hayden Manis through.
And Deacon Greenfield opens the door of opportunity. That all started with a little bit of a hip check between Newell and Rice Pudo at the exit of tower. Just this tiniest little touch. And that everyone else behind also kind of did the same. There's little hip checks left and right, and it throws everybody offline just enough. You see Hibbett building a bit of a gap back to Neal.
Yep. Yeah, that 90R creates a lot of headache and sometimes opportunity. But it always creates something, that's for sure. All right. Love this section of track here.
Just popping back a little bit deeper in the field. Arif Aziz slow at 7, and here comes Jim Friedhofer, who's a lap down. He was involved in that collision in the opening lap. We'll go all the way back and show you what happened there from high above.
Yep.
It's lap 1, turn 1.
You're going to see, there's Friedhofer. That was a double bang for, is that Vaccaro that got
125
of
Sawyer Richards, yep. Right there.
Yep. And it was Sawyer had bounced off a court and got back over into him, unfortunately.
Jim's still on track, just a lap down. Everyone else on the lead lap. And Arif Aziz, just behind this, is chasing Vaccaro in his first start back with us here in a while, the 221.
Yeah, great to see him here. And didn't get a qualifying time in, as you pointed out, but nice to see him making a move here, and he's up into the 16th spot right now, so doing a nice job.
James Newell.
And back up front, it's getting fierce. Camden's making a little bit of a break, isn't he? He's up the road by about 8/10.
Yeah, I think everyone else can sort of feel that happening too, and I think that's why Newell and Rice-Puto might be pushing the issue here a little bit, knowing that Camden's getting a little bit smaller in the windshield.
One of the things we've talked about a lot with this car and the damage model is that little wrinkle on the nose on the big drafting tracks can really be problematic. Here it's not going to be, so you can maybe work a little bit closer. You can see Rice-Puto's got a nice big wrinkle up front. You can work closer to that guy in front of you, and if there is a little tap, it's not going to hurt you anywhere near as bad.
Yeah, not a lot of aero on this racetrack. I mean, we're getting up to almost VMAX, but we're not staying there for long. But hitting about 110 to 115, and at that speed, it definitely can cause more drag. But you're not sustaining that speed for very long. You're just getting to it. So any kind of damage on the bumpers and things will just be a minor inconvenience, if anything.
Well, I'll tell you, Deacon has close this gap down on Dylan Lee, and he's got to run up the inside. Belleman looking to go with him here. Belleman had dropped way back for some reason and very quickly closed that down. Here on the limiter there.
Ooh, watch the touch.
Deacon gets through, and Dylan, is that a little hip check there? That
I think so.
The door up for Belleman,
It just doesn't take a lot. I mean, you're at such the limit of grip already, and this is a pretty narrow section of Sebring. So any little touch, it just magnifies how the car moves across the racetrack. This is for third, Ricaputo in the 03 and James Newell in the 123.
And I'll tell you, the guy who's lurking now after he moved up the spot is Hayden Manis. Manis is about 4/10 back here of Newell. So let's see what he's going to be able to do. Then Greenfield, another 2.5 back, with Belleman glued to him. And here they are in this great battle for 6th.
Just watching the brakes too. There's seen a couple of the cars that have their brakes get really hot. You don't have a lot of straightaway to cool things off very much. And if you're really leaning on them hard, it doesn't take too long before they get a little bit outside their operating range. You don't really experience brake fade to a large extent in iRacing, but brake temperature absolutely does affect the level of grip that you have. Absolutely. So if you see them glowing in the broad daylight, you might be pushing them a little bit beyond the limit.
And really the only thing you can do there is just to brake a little earlier and a little lighter to get the same eventual level of retardation down into the turn.
Yeah, so sometimes these tracks can be pretty, ow, the cat just dug his nails into me. That'll take you out of your immersion. Sorry about that, folks. Deacon Greenfield and Thomas Belleman battle. The challenge with racetracks like this is sometimes they're extremely hard on brakes. We were just at, Grid Life was just at pit race last weekend. Pretty fast flowing racetrack, but it has some downhill sections where you're really leaning on the brakes, and though it seems like you're carrying a pretty good average speed, you're really hard on those pads. So, this is a place where you just don't ever go fast enough to cool things off.
I'll tell you, this Q's, they're doing a great job. Now, Rice-Puto has gone through on Neal. We watched that happen, so now it's Newell feeling the heat from Hayden Manis.
See if Ricaputo, he'll poke the nose in on Hibbett. Hibbett left him about a half a car width, which is nice, respectful racing, but he wasn't quite there yet. He didn't have to do that.
I'll tell you, Rice-Puto, he could sure use a big event here. Oh, that always makes me nervous.
Towers
from that far out.
Yeah, the tower's a tricky turn. Big sharp curb on the apex. These cars can handle hitting it, but I still think it's faster not to in some instances.
I would agree. Anything that gets the car pogoing, it's not necessarily great. I'll tell you what, I was watching there. Hibbett was defending pretty good into 90R, and I would be surprised if he does that again. If we don't see Rice-Puto just try and zing up the outside try and pin him on the inside. Nicholas may not be waiting that long for it. Here we go. Side by side into the hairpin. This time Bryce Budo's got some placement. Boom, it floats wide.
Almost ran afoul of track limits there. Had a tire still touching the pavement, and he's going to try to muscle up alongside Hibbett, but now the track turns to the right. That's the wrong direction for him, and Carson Neal's going to try to follow Hibbett through.
But watch to see if Nicholas, and look at this.
Wow.
Hibbett went to the brake, and Bryce Budo just rolled right around the outside. And that's a little bit of a pin move because Hibbett wasn't on the best line to turn into Cunningham. He had, there was a little bit of give and take going on there. And now, does Bryce Budo stay on the outside? Carson's going to dive to the inside here. Look at, can Bryce Budo make it stick around the outside? He does, but man, Hibbett still got a nice drive out of that turn, didn't he?
Yeah, Rick Budo, he had an opportunity to clear Hibbett, but he didn't take it, and he's going to have to force Hibbett a little bit wider there. He's in the dirt, and Hibbett's going to, I think, take this lead back because the next couple of corners are right-handers, but Hibbett has done a nice job on offense. I think there were some opportunities for Rick Budo to slam the door. He didn't take them, and it's going to cost him here.
Yeah, that little bump there by Carson may have been just enough. Well, look at Budo, though, going really deep, and because he had that outside line, he could roll a little bit more entry speed. We're going to start this process again. We might be looking at almost a full lap side by each here.
Yeah, and he outbrakes Hibbett by a lot last time. I don't think Camden's going to fall for that again. He'll go in there as deep this time. Here we go. Yep. Pretty even. Oh, contact.
Ooh, and a touch. Oh.
Nice save. Haven't we seen the championship decided with contact like that go back a couple of seasons? It's just, it's so easy to do. When you turn in, it exposes that outside shoulder of the left side tire, and it's just so easy to bounce off the rubber rather than the bodywork.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really, wow, this is flown by, Kyle. We got just over 2.5 minutes to go. Ooh, Bellman, big tank slapper coming out of 90R.
Deacon Greenfield and Dylan Lee side by side. Deacon takes the spot. He's up to 7th now, started 11th. Pretty good claw forward.
Not bad, not bad.
And Hayden Manis quietly to 3rd.
Yeah, really, that's a great way to put it. He hasn't done anything spectacular, but it's sure been effective. See there, Camden, looking like whatever little draft might be there, he's trying to break. And now that he's got a half second over Neal in these last couple of laps, I'm guessing Camden is just going to drop the hammer if he's got anything in the tank to do that.
I would think so. 2 laps left to go this time. And in the background, Newell dealing with pressure from Thomas Bellman, who's still trying to recover from that early slap and tap. And then he, again, of course, missed the gear down at 7. That cost him 3 or 4 spots too. So been mostly recovering since the drop of the green, but just doesn't have a lot of time and it's hard to pass.
I'm intrigued to see if Nicholas Bryce Budo is going to try anything big here. He was fighting for the lead, and now he's in 4th. And he comes in here just 4th in the championship, and he's not far out of 2nd. So a couple of good races here. He'd sure love to make up a little bit here.
Love listening to the turn in there to what is turn 5 on the full course, because you heard the engine sort of kind of do that sigh because he's applying the brake and the throttle, and that's a balance thing, Greg, to keep the weight shifted enough to the rear of the car to get back on the throttle, but also use a little bit of trail brake. So it just kind of sounds like you're bogging the engine there a little bit. Bellman and Newell still side by side. Bellman crossing over. This will be white flag this time through. I can't show you it because the flagman is so far off the racetrack that you might just see him in the background. There he is. But last lap.
All right, here we go. And Carson Neal staying close. In fact, he has created a little bit of a gap back to Manis, who's got Bryce Budo just clawing over the back of him. Then a little bit more of a gap, almost a second back to Newell. Ooh, Neal running wide. Boy, he was trying to flow every bit of speed he possibly could. Still less than a car length as they come out at 90R.
Yeah, did everything he could there to carry speed, just didn't quite pan out for him.
No, it's not going to work unless some We see a big mistake from Camden, which he's not really known for. But will Rice Pudo give a big lunge here on Hayden Manis as we get down into the hairpin for the last time? He might. He's got a position. Can he get in deep enough? No, he's there. He got underneath. And I think he's going to win this battle. He does. But meanwhile, here we go to the line. And Camden Hemmett stringing together another win with a great finish in the second spot for Carson Neal. Hayden Manis getting clipped right at the end. Rice Pudo getting back onto the podium. Manis fourth, and Newell rounds out the top 5.
Wow. That was fun. We're going to get to it all over again here in a couple of minutes. Let's quickly have a look at the race results before we lose them here for the next heat. Hibbett, Neal, Rice Pudo, Manis, and Newell, your top 5. And I think this is definitely one of those racetracks that you can't wait to the very end to make that pass for the lead.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously Tom Belleman, after those 2 moments, had to recover most of the race. He still got it up to 6th. Keegan, another top 10 in 7th. Same for Dylan Lee in 8th. Beans showed such great speed in qualifying. Stymied at the end there with that contact. And William Benson-Kama rounding out your top 10. Another good run for him.
Yeah, looking great there for William Benson-Kama. Then looking down the rest of the order. How about Court Schmidt up to 12th? Seth Pullman back a couple spots there at the end, but trouble for a couple of drivers in this group, including Jim Friedhofer off the start of the Nate Himmelsbach in that 43. We saw him kind of get shuffled around a little bit. So progress maybe not as high as they wanted, but they have race 2 to sort that out. And Greg, we've got a couple of minutes before we go to race number 2, but we have a special guest joining us in the booth for this break.
We do. Well, speaking of progress, one of the things that the series has been looking for is a race director and chief steward, and have decided on no less than Brian Bolansky, and we're great to have him joining us here. And first of all, Brian, congratulations, and great to have you as a full-time part of the Full Send Sims team.
Well, I'm happy to be there. They definitely scraped through the bottom of the barrel and found me down there. So. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I've been watching this series for a little bit now, and I love the way it does a great job of mimicking a professional race weekend, and that's why I'm excited to be here.
Well, and you've got a pretty good history in motorsports. I think you said back in 1986 is when you started to get involved. You've raced Spec Racer Fords when they were still Spec Renaults. You've run Formula V. A number of different classes. You also, of course, are the announcer for the entire Super Tour, a couple of podcasts. You've got your race officials license. To me, it sounds like you're pretty darn strongly qualified to be the race director here. What is, quickly sort of your vision for this? What are you thinking coming in?
Well, first of all, when you asked me to give me my little bio, Kyle was quick to remind me that bio just indicated that I was old.
That's not what I said, Brian. Not exactly.
You didn't say it in so many words, but you implied it heavily, and that's accurate. No, I just want to generate the experience that we generate on an actual race weekend, and treat this like we're going to the racetrack in real life. That's my kind of thoughts for this whole process, and bring some ideas and tools that are both in the amateur and the professional side of doing things. I spent a lot of time in race control and IndyCar and IMSA weekends, so I know how they operate those weekends pretty intimately, and I want to kind of bring that vision to what we're doing here.
Well, and I mean, that certainly fits right in with Court Schmidt and Full Send Sims' mantra of practice makes podium, and that these sims are a tool to make you a better real-world racer. Well, there's no reason that a league like this can't become a tool to make you a better, give you a better understanding of how to operate in real-world racing, whether it's as a driver, whether it's as an official.
Well, 100%, and that's why I think leagues like this are so important, because if you do regular iRacing races, the official races, there's no real life people adjudicating and looking over these things. Not even adjudicating, just keeping an eye on the racing, and that's what I love about these league type situations. And what the Full Send Sims folks have been doing here is exactly. I'm just kind of following on what their vision is, not really adding to it, just enhancing it.
Well, and what we're hoping is as the season unfolds there for the rest of the second half, as something comes up that's a little unique in terms of an on-track incident or whatever, then maybe we can grab you real quick and just say, hey, this is our take. What's your take? So it's always nice to be on the same page as the officials.
Yeah, as a broadcaster, I'm always like, why haven't they told me what's going on? And maybe I can help you guys know what's going on a little bit. So that's the good part of being in both seats.
Yes, it is. Exactly, isn't it? Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Brian. I've been following what you've been doing, the last couple of years, especially with the SCCA, and I know that you're a big proponent of sim racing, and this is sort of how I got into racing in the real world in the first place, not necessarily just from an attendee standpoint, but also from just working in racing. This is how I started all of it. So I think it's really important to tie together the sim racing world and the real world racing world, and I think to add credibility to the way that the races and events are run, to have that real world experience in race control and understand, the mind of a racer, I think is so important and just brings so much professionalism to the sim racing world. And I don't say this as a detractor, but there's a lot of leagues out there that are cosplaying as professional motorsport, and cosplaying in this sense is a positive term. They're trying to make it feel real, and to carry that on, Brian, I think that's really exciting. So tell me from your experience watching all the sim racing leagues, how does that translate to community in the real world? Do you notice that people from the sim racing world kind of band together at the real racetrack, or is there a clique that forms that kind of drags them in? DJ Alessandrini's one of those guys that definitely has formed a following with the Lizard Brains podcast and things like that. So, trying to break through the shy sim racer into the world of motorsports is a challenge too.
Yeah, I just think that when we show up at the real racetrack together, putting names and faces is always fun for me. And from a social standpoint, and then when you put the names and faces together in real life, maybe you treat them just a little bit differently on the sim racetrack as well, because they might be able to find you and race down the road and have a little discussion with you. Yeah,
I think that's fantastic. And again, all the people that I know now, Brian, or Greg, I should say, are from the sim racing world, or I got into motorsports to meet all those other non-sim racing people from the sim racing world. So pretty cool connection, and glad to have Brian here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great choice, Brian. We got another race, so we'll let you go here. And one of the things that I loved hearing him say was really what I think he was talking about was whether it's real world or sim, race with respect, and that'll come back to treat you well. And I think that's a really important lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you start treating the simulator as that tool that you talked about, and you pretend that reset button isn't there, it adds a lot of value to self-preservation, but teaches you that racecraft where you have a safe place to make a mistake, but also a safe place to learn how you got yourself in that scenario and how not to do that next time. And you can do all that for $13 a month before you do it to your $50,000 race car.
Well, and that's a really good point right there, and that's where the value of iRacing as a tool and these sims as a tool really show themselves. It's going to be interesting in this one here as we're getting ready to go with the pace lap underway. We got Thomas Belleman in 6th, Beans Forrester back in 9th, and both of them we know are really, really quick. And it's going to be fascinating to see what they can do here as this one gets underway for our second 20 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of tire weaving and warming and a very short pace lap there. So any temperature you can get into the tire before the green flag is going to be crucial. That's why you see those leaders at the front violently weaving back and forth, because they don't have a lot of time to generate that temperature. And pace car pulls off, Greg, and we're getting ready to roll.
All right, just that quick. That's how quick it goes here. On board with Carson Neal to his right. There you see the shadow of Camden Hibbett, your pole sitter and race winner. And here we come to the start line. We're green! And remember, let's see now whether Camden is going to be able to get a little bit better start. He started 4th in that last race, and I think he would much prefer this view here. Rice Pudo way down to the inside. Some cars scattering everywhere, and I think that was Charles Vaccaro that, I don't know whether he had a problem early, but he pulled off at this stage. And I'll tell you, this is what Camden wants to see. All right, he got it going again here. Is these two guys behind him side by side already and having at it here, and that is exactly what Rice Pudo wanted to have happen, was to now have a clean run. And look at Belleman, look at the launch he made from where he started. He's already knocking on the door of 4th. He might have it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though, because it's all right-handers for the next few. But Manis makes a mistake on corner exit, puts him on much more equal footing. But James Newell is going to come up behind Bellman in the 718 and give him a push. Deacon Greenfield has got to pick which line he thinks is moving. And now it looks like Talladega on the backstretch. Just find where the momentum is.
Sure does. Now, let's see how deep does Hayden go. He's going to stay inside of Newell. But Newell, if he can keep that overlap, this is where you can see, that was an awful lot of Newell's car off track there.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot there. They give you quite a bit of the width of the car. Usually in iRacing, it's half the car width off as a 1X, but there has to be all 4 tires to the inside of the curb to pick up the slowdown. Here comes Rick Caputo for the lead, and a little touch there. Hibbett's off.
And Hibbett bouncing through the grass on the outside. And look at that heart rate. Doesn't even jump.
Whoa, Carson Neal jumped, though, over the curb,
yeah,
though.
He did.
Wow.
That was a mega curb hop. But keeps him in position here. But how far back did Hibbett drop at this stage?
He's 7th.
Back to 7th. Wow.
And Beans Forster was one of the drivers that got shuffled out in the last race. He's back up to 6th. And his recovery charge still has 18 minutes left in it. So Camden and Beans, I wonder if they'll kind of get themselves tangled up when they try to get by each other.
Well, they well might. Or if they're smart, they'll work with each other here. Of course, this is not like we've talked about the draft opportunities, but nonetheless, boy, Bean's really working over Deacon right now, trying to figure out a way through. Deacon locks up.
Yeah, lost a couple spots there. One to Camden, and I think Dylan Lee's going to have a run. James Newell, this is not the race that he needed, 5th to 9th.
No kidding.
Trying to get 1 spot back from Dylan, but on the wrong side of the track.
Riding with him here, but again, like you said, he's got company to his right. And still there.
Oh, and Sawyer Richards went for a little ride there, and it's going to bottle up Spolman and Himmelsbach there on the run into Tower.
Friedhofer thought he might have a run and an opportunity in that door. Ooh, Himmelsbach into the back of Spolman. Oh, they are going after it back in the
say the
field here.
What's the word I was looking for? Entropy is high.
Yes, there you go. That's a perfect word.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a battle for 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th right now. Sawyer Richards in that all light green car. Meanwhile, up front in the green and black machine, it is Rick Caputo. Over Neal, Bellman. There's Manis in the gray car, and Beans up into 5th.
Here comes Seth Spolman now back on Himmelsbach. Couldn't quite get the overlap he needed. And then even for 16th, Fuller and Buttermore side by side for a moment.
They're having a great run.
Oop, contact, and there it goes. That was commentator curse there, Greg.
Yeah, Reef Aziz and Buttermore.
Yeah, right here.
Getting gathered up here.
Just trajectories, just line it up.
Yeah.
Dylan Lee and Deacon Greenfield are door-to-door. This is for 8th now. This is in Tower.
Yeah, and William Vanselkama right behind them here looking for any opportunity to slide through. Deacon thought he might run a little bit wider than that, but he actually got a nice drive off. But then late on the brakes goes Lee.
Ooh.
Leaves just enough room, and Vanselkama decides, I'm going to jump to the inside here. That was very opportunistic.
Picked up
him on the wrong side here.
Yeah, picked up the left rear tire on Vanselkama's car. That was cool. Put all the grip on the right front and just leaned in. And Bellarmine is all the way back to 3rd now.
Yeah. Looked to make the move on Neal. Neal didn't bite on that at all.
They're braking so hard into turn 7. Engine braking deep in the ABS. You know, they're threshold braking. You can push the pedal all the way to the floor and it'll stop because of the ABS, but if you can find that threshold right before the ABS, that's typically the best way to brake in iRacing. And these guys are just, you know, firewall deep in that pedal trying to get these things to stop. Here comes Neal.
Looking for the lead on Nicholas, and well, I'll tell you, going with Nicholas is Bellarmine, and it's going to be a tight squeeze for Neal here. He's got the inside, but Bellarmine's going to try and ramp the outside. Neal gives him the room to do that. And here comes Hayden trying to squeeze up along the outside as well. Last time Belleman ran wide, and that's going to give Carson the opportunity. Maybe. I thought Carson would have a better drive out of there, but Belleman got it to accelerate pretty stoutly.
And Beans and Camden side by side behind for 5th, so whichever lane comes out ahead of the other, it's going to prevail between the Hibbett and Forster battle.
Well, in theory, the way it's looking here is it should be Beans, but we shall see. Well, here they come, stomping on those brakes again.
Oh,
big
glowing,
time.
glowing inside the rotors for Carson Neal.
Belleman able to get and clear Neal. So now he's got to get after it here because it's a second margin up to Rice Pudo, right? Ooh!
Little touch between Hayden and Neal there. Just hip and shouldering each other through Fangio there.
Hayden going to try and stay to the outside. Hibbett deciding which way am I going to go. Look at Beans hunting. And he elects to go with Camden here. Now Camden's going to pop out. Speed's going to jam it down the inside. He does. Far enough to Camden. Oh!
Manis.
Is that Hayden?
Yep. And they're 3 wide. That math does not work, and Manis is going to get run out of road twice.
He is. Oh, man. And Camden read that to perfection.
Yeah, here it is again from the top down.
Saw it happen. Shifts to the inside. There's no answer for Neal there. Here comes Newell. Now Hayden's going to do a little bit of hunting here. Newell's going to cover that off, or try to.
Back to the left. Oh, late on the brakes, really late, too late.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Missed the back of Beans, but by just an inch or two.
And just was able to get back on clear of Lee and Deacon Greenfield, who are having a good little scrap here.
Yeah, that has allowed Camden to get to 3rd, and he's 1.4 back from Belleman, 2.3 back from Rick Caputo. 12 minutes to go. It's going to be tough to make up that math, and Rick Caputo's last lap was 8/10 quicker than Camden. We'll see if next time changes the math.
Yeah, interesting. Belleman's was almost 2/10 quicker than Rick Caputo's, so see what he's going to be able to do here. So look at this scrum. There's Court at the back end here. Here we go. There he is.
Seth Spolman and Himmelsbach. This is a battle that's been going on for a little while for 12th. And Jim Friedhofer, too.
Yeah, Himmelsbach, Spolman, and Friedhofer were able to get through when Sawyer Richards had that moment. So they've all advanced just a little bit. And you know, since we're back here, can you go back 2 more spots just to give pay a nice little homage to the livery of Michael Fuller's car here. If any of you are longtime fans of road racing, that livery will be really evocative for you. Back in the glory days of Mazda running in the GT classes and the like, that's been their official livery for many years.
Yeah, this reminds me, I've seen this applied to the FTG cars as well in SROTC. And there was an RX-7 in GLTC that had this livery as well. So it's been replicated a number of times since, and including on Michael Fuller's car. I was actually going to point this out earlier, but then I think it was Arif Aziz and Buttermore got tangled right behind him. So cameras chased him instead. But
and back to this tasty little battle. Hey, these three have found each other for this. Oh, nice! Cutback move by Himmelsbach here. Oh, it's close.
Oh, there's a little touch. I was waiting for the door skins to get banged in there. 10 minutes to go, halfway through race 2. No change up at the front, but Belleman is slowly reeling in Rick Caputo. And Hibbett was the second quickest of the top 3, second only to Belleman last time by.
And that tasty little move by Himmelsbach moves him into 12th, so nice job there.
Michael Fuller just had just missed a corner that Finian has marked on the cameras as Rabbit Bend.
Rabbit Bend. Okay, yeah. I like that.
And Finian doesn't usually come up with names, but he will find the most obscure corner names that I'd never heard talked about ever before. My favorite is whenever we go to a German racetrack or a Finnish one, and he'll write the corner name as it's written on the track map, which is not a pronounceable thing. So.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so Finian just messing with us.
Yep, could be.
All right, good boy.
Ooh, Deacon Greenfield is just laying out the left rear tire against the curb, and Dylan Lee's off course. That's like blood in the water to Deacon Greenfield.
It surely is. I've noticed that Deacon has had just a little bit of an issue a couple of times, getting slowed down for the hairpin.
Been heating up those brakes a lot too. I wonder if he's leaned on them maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
And the ambient temp isn't crazy high. Track temp though.
No.
Let's see if we can watch the. See if I get the side-on perspective of the wheels inside this. There you go, glowing red hot.
There's some serious glow, yeah. He looked really good that time, so now he's got that figured out. But up front, yeah, it's Rice-Puto by a half a second over Bellman, then another 1.8 back to Camden Hibbett, and that time Camden a couple of tenths slower than Bellman.
Yeah, it's not going to be long before Bellman gets to Rick Caputo here, and as soon as they start fighting, it'll accelerate Hibbett running them back.
Yep, exactly.
Which is good news, though, because there's only 8 minutes left to go and 6 laps left at the stripe.
And this is one of those scenarios where trying to get inside Rick Caputo's head, you know, if he feels Bellman is really got pace here, does he try and slow him down to let Hibbett start to nibble at him? You know, that would be Burkhardt would do that.
Yeah, he would.
You know, there's no question.
Am I brave enough to try that if I'm not named Morgan Burkhardt?
I know, exactly. Look at this, Beans under absolute attack by Newell here. Beans has had a nice fight back up to the back too, considering where he started.
Well, a little scrum behind Carson Neal, Dylan Lee, Hayden Manis, all trading spots. Manis, I don't know if he just lost one there or gained one, but in the 65 up to 7th place.
Yeah, I think he may have just gained that back.
I think we're about a half a lap away from a passing attempt here, Greg. The 718's here.
Yeah, he is there, isn't he? And still, Hibbett looking at those lap times, running a little slower than Bellman did. So right now, these two leaders up front are keeping things pretty good shape.
Deacon Greenfield in too deep. Contact.
Way deep. Got into Lee, and then Lee collected Manis.
Wow, that was from a long ways back there. I think he just might have made a mistake. Turns in and just too late. I think he had sort of expected Dylan Lee to track all the way out, on entry to Tower, but he was leaving space for Manis.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So Deacon thinks that the two's clear, but he doesn't track out, and that's what.
Yeah.
Well, and while we were doing that, Thomas Bellman has very quickly dispatched Rick Caputo. So we'll go back and show you that real briefly. And it happened.
Yes.
Already
to the safety pin.
Yeah, right here.
Boy, he just wasn't worried about telegraphing it or nothing. He just had a great drive, didn't he?
And he holds that lead. That did allow Hibbett to gain slightly that time. 1.8 back now from this pairing. 5.5 minutes to go.
And I almost wonder, I'm curious, Rice-Puto, when he saw Bellman swing out, if he didn't let him go, not that he doesn't want to win the thing, but I think he was thinking, if I stay and we go side by side to the hairpin, Hibbett's all over us.
That could be very well true. I think you're pretty much spot on with that. Is it going to save him from losing second, though? Not sure. He was a little slower than Hibbett before.
He's just got to stay attached right now to Bellman. And Beans has not been able to clear Newell, Neal at all.
And Rick Caputo not making another attempt to get back by Bellman, so I think you were spot on with that assessment that he's just trying to preserve the gap back to Hibbett, knowing that he's the biggest threat.
Yep. And this time Hibbett has closed up just a little bit. It's taken about 0.3 off of that margin. So we're into the final 5.
Yeah, looking
like. Here comes Beans with Newell and Neal. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th. Oh, Greenfield trying to come back now. Down to the inside of Venselkamp and not quite clear.
Yeah, I wonder if, again, based off that previous incident, wouldn't be surprised to see a penalty assessed post-race for that. So that's the other thing is he's had such a nice run inside the top 10 tonight.
Yeah.
But this one might be marred with some post-race action, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that.
Look at us go. Spot on with everything. The all-knowing, all-seeing beings up here in the ivory tower.
Your tower's ivory? Wow.
1927 Chicago brick.
There you go.
So.
Well, look at this. Now we're at 3.5. What's Rice Pudo going to do? Not going to go this time. Ooh, man, they are standing those cars on the nose.
You know what's interesting, though, is that they don't have those glowing brakes like we've seen with some of the other cars. Even these guys back here, you see they're leaning on the brakes so much harder. It's interesting to me that the leaders, again, with their being so much more efficient, slowing, I think I've heard people say the biggest lie they tell you in racing school is that the brakes are slowing the car down. But it's actually how you point the car, right? So
yeah, exactly.
There's some efficiency going on with those leaders up front. Here's Newell and Forster for fourth.
Boy, Newell on form here, attacking on Beans now, though that might open up opportunity here for Carson. Depends on. Nope, he just tucks in here.
Yeah, it's not Carson Neal's race. Went from second back to sixth. Not a disaster by any stretch, but not, code measure it with his race 1 result.
Exactly. A little wide there, but didn't really lose much. But heck, Beans able to eke out maybe a car length or two there.
All the while, Belleman and Rick Caputo with that nice clean exchange of power. 2.5 minutes to go. I think Hibbett might catch Rick Caputo, but he might not have time to do much about Belleman. So it's worked out. Maybe for Belleman, less so for Rick Caputo in the 0-3.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, though. It's still, 2 laps to go. It's not that much time for Hibbett to get there, so it's not over yet.
No, it's not. And, and Rick Caputo was certainly still close enough to try something on Belleman at some point. As Vanselkama and Greenfield continue their great little scrap. Again, as you said, Greenfield probably will lose a few more spots, but still a fun battle to watch here.
Yeah, I mean, if it's
Himmelsbach, all that great fighting by Himmelsbach has him up into the 10th. Kurt Schmidt sits 9th. There's Ford. So great job.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about Deacon Greenfield, I mean, you don't know that that's going to happen yet, so all you can do as a driver is just still run the best race you can. Of course, got to keep your nose clean as best you can, but any positions that you gain, if it's a time-based penalty post-race, you still got stuff to race for. So it's hard to, when you know that's coming or you feel like it's coming, it's hard to keep your head in the game, but you just got to shake it off. What's done is done. You can't undo the past.
Yep, you got to have that short memory and just keep on driving here. What do you think? Is Rice Pudo going to be close? Ooh, we got Wayne Buttermore up there as potential traffic.
Yeah, Buttermore last time
Rice Pudo going to try anything here? Not this time, but boy, Hibbett's there, isn't he?
Yeah, here's this battle. Here comes Newell up. Forster's inside, and Carson Neal going to try to cross them both over on the exit. White flag this time through.
Yeah, Newell's got the nose ahead here. He's got the car ahead. Wow.
And the top three, they're still nose to tail here. And how about 2 wide again? Forster to the inside at Cunningham.
Trying to open Newell, that little bit of a sideways is opportunity for Beans here. Neal trying to figure out what am I going to do here.
Oh boy.
This guy's side by side through tower. That's going to make 90R interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Watch the Beans jump the curb there, so they are mostly sorted for the time being. We'll jump back to the leaders because this might be a Hail Mary. Maybe lap traffic will be a factor in this. Coming to the hairpin for the last time.
Well, and you've got to think here, well, Belleman wanted probably to stay to the inside, but swung out because of Buttermore. Now here comes Rice Pudo. He's not close enough. Rice Pudo shades over a little bit to cover off Hibbett. Here we go, the drive out of the hairpin. Race 2 on this evening is going to go to Thomas Belleman. What a recovery drive he put in. Hibbett trying to get to the inside. It's a drag race for second. Who's going to get it? To the line we go, and it is Rice Pudo.
This one's close too. Vansel Kema and Greenfield. I think Vansel Kema got him.
On each other. I think so too.
24 thousandths.
Wow.
That was even closer.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
So Newell ends up. That was a really impressive run for him up into 4th. Good job.
Yeah, Hibbett.
In 5th.
Hibbett recovered nicely again after getting shuffled out of the lead. So 1st and 3rd. Thomas Belleman saved his evening after a poor race 1, but drove up through the field, picked up 1st place. And Rick Caputo, just some top 5s tonight. Not on the top step, but certainly solid runs.
Absolutely. Belleman's 2nd win of the season. Good one for him.
Let's have a look at the race results here, and we'll chat with the drivers post-race. Here's a look, Greg.
All right, Belleman getting that 2nd win. Rice Pudo helping himself out in terms of the points with that 2nd place finish. Hibbett, another podium in 3rd. Then Newell and Beans rounding out your top 5. Carson Neal, scrappy run to 6th in this one. William Ponselkama in 7th. Deacon Greenfield, Court Schmidt up into 9th. And Nate Himmelsbach up into 10th.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the order here, 11th through 19th. Seth Spolman, Hayden Manis did not have his race pan out the way he was hoping. Jim Friedhofer only up from the bottom there from last in race 1 to 13th in race 2. See a couple of drivers that had some issues, including Arif Aziz, Wayne Buttermore, and then Dylan Lee. Did we see what happened to Dylan Lee at the end there?
Yeah, he was part of that when Deacon Greenfield.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Made that big lunge. Yeah, he got caught out in that.
So race results from Sebring complete, and we'll chat with a couple of drivers here in just a moment. Looks like Camden Hibbett has joined us, so let's chat with him first in the number 132. Tonight, a 1st and a 3rd, Camden. Not a bad result. Took you a little while to kind of carve your way back through after getting shuffled off. Take us through your evening.
Yeah, it was a thing happened in turn 1, and I haven't watched it back yet, to be honest with you. I don't know if you have a replay loaded up or not, but it was, I thought I honestly just got moved. I'm not real sure. I'll have to go back and look at it and kind of talk it over with Nick, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like I had a shot to get back to it at that point. I was back to P8 or P9, and unfortunately couldn't get back to the lead. I just kind of ran out of time, to be honest with you. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Probably a racing incident. Maybe turned it a little too early. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, right? I definitely didn't expect there to be, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a late turn in from him, but I also turned at the same time early. So I don't know. I think you could go either way with it. But all in all, frustrating race 2. Pretty solid race 1. I was just trying to get the field stacked up as much as I could. I was trying to get them racing enough to where I could get enough of a gap to break away. I got close a couple times, and then once I realized I wasn't quite far enough and they settled back in a line, I would bring myself back and try again. But all in all, I think it's pretty well executed race 1. Definitely a learning experience to take in race 2, and as far as timing the aggressiveness, I guess, into turn 1, I think for both of us. But it's racing, it happens, and we'll move on.
Well, I'll tell you, your fight back in race 2 once you drop back a little bit, and your read on that traffic as you were heading into 90R there when everything was happening in front of you, you were able to pick up, I think, 3 spots just there alone. You got to be pleased with that, just to fight back in that and how you read through some things. Yeah,
for sure. I definitely think I was very intrigued by Nick's game plan, to be honest with you. I didn't really understand it. I think he didn't race Thomas aggressively at all. There was no sense of urgency, which I can't fault him for. I mean, it ended up working for him. It kept me out of the picture for quite a while, to be honest with you. But I didn't see that coming. I was really expecting him to keep the aggression up, because I even told myself, like, if I was in his situation, I would have wanted to pack the field up, because or at least get another car. A one-on-one battle is very hard to deal with, in my opinion. So I would have preferred to have a 3-car fight, but some things work different for certain people. Unfortunately, his worked out tonight. His plan to kind of keep me out of the picture and keep it just him and Thomas. He obviously didn't get the race win, but able to hang on to a P2. So I don't know if it was a conservative Nick approach tonight, or what the kind of mindset was, but it took me by surprise for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight back through the field, and definitely proud of that. Just unfortunate. The results I don't think showed the pace necessarily in race 2, but it's racing. Sometimes it goes that way.
Yeah, and we're going to ask Nick for sure, but I was speculating that when Bellarmine got that run on him early and Nick didn't fight him at all, it was like, I don't think he wanted to be going side by side into the hairpin, because he didn't want you there. He wanted you as far back as you were. So we'll see if that's what his game plan was. But nonetheless, a win and a third, pretty good points for you again.
Yeah, solid night. And on that note, when I saw him back out, I was like, well, this may be over for me, because he's not fighting at all. So I was surprised by that move. I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you. I was expecting him to make a move sooner, but maybe he was not focused on that. Maybe he was focused on getting a points night, finishing P2, which I can't fault him for. It's a long season, 15 races, so or 15 rounds, 30 races. It's a very, very long season. So it sucks for me. We didn't get to have quite as fun of a race at the finish, but all in all, a smart move by him, and a good points night for the 132. So we'll move on to Atlanta.
Absolutely. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta next. That's going to be great. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, let's chat with Nicholas Ricaputo into the number 03. All right, Nick, we're putting you on the spot. Were we wrong for 3 years, and it's Ricaputo?
No, I was trolling. Just
Are you kidding me? We said Ricaputo all night. We knew it. Greg, I should have listened. I should have listened, Greg.
You guys know Johnny Morrow.
Yeah.
When he always reenacts you guys commentating on me, and that's how he says my name. So I figured, yeah. So it was funny though. How's everything going, guys?
It's great for us.
We're thoroughly confused, but yeah, other than that.
Nice to you, though. But if you want to do Rick Caputo when I'm doing something cool, that's cool too.
We Rick Caputo'd you a few times tonight.
Nice.
My default state is confusion. But all right, third and second tonight. Nick, pretty solid run. A little bit of contact there with Morgan in this race. Or sorry, not Morgan, Camden. Thinking of the wrong front runner this evening. But solid racing up there in the top three. This place gets pretty elbows out, though. It's pretty tight. Take us through your evening.
Yeah, in race 1, I was not very happy with Camden, because he does this thing where he does this perfect wheel-to-wheel contact with you and then puts you off, and then you lose 4 spots. So that's what happened in turn 1 in race 2. So I did the same exact thing. So that's how you're going to race me. That's how we're going to race. There's no hard feelings, but that's how we're going to do it.
So yeah, elbows out early in this one is what you're saying.
Yeah. But super, super fun race. I might be racing here in real life this weekend. Haven't decided yet, but yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we would think it would be. I mean, this place just seems to race really fun. Getting to the other question that we were discussing with Camden, it looked like in that second race when you and Bellarmine had that sizable lead, and coming through 5, Bellarmine didn't really, he didn't try and hide it or anything. He just moved over to make a pass. And it looked to me like you just let him slide through. And I speculated at that point that you didn't want to fight him to the apex of 7 because you didn't want Camden joining your scrap.
That's exactly correct. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to keep Camden out of it so I could pass Bellarmine on the last lap, and just wasn't able to get a good run out of 5 on the last lap. And then I think Wayne was in front of Bellarmine, giving him a little draft as well, so that didn't help my case, but still a good night overall.
Yeah, I'll say, and obviously, you're certainly still in this championship fight. You got some work to do, but great to see you running right back up at the sharp end where you belong, man.
Yeah, I actually have some news. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I posted in the general chat, but I got invited to the Mazda shootout, and I will find out on Friday if I'm going to be a part of it, like the final 12 to run the MX-5 Cup car. So I made a really cool video. Some of your guys' commentary is in it as well. So take a look at the SMX General tab when you get a chance.
We will, for sure. That's absolutely great news, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, let's chat with Thomas Bellman. Race 2. Whoop, where did he go? He went away just now. I was just about to grab him. Let's see if I can bring him back in. Ow, the cat again. Where did Bellman go? He's sneaking away. I think we might have missed him.
Ah, that's a shame.
Come back. See if I can tag him and get him back in here before we turn loose. We'll give him 30 seconds or so to... I was looking to see if he jumped to another channel, but... There he goes. There he is, Thomas Bellman. Sorry, buddy. We kept you waiting for a little while, but P1 in race 2. Take us through your drive back up through the field there after finishing 6th in race 1.
Yeah, no, it was a good race, honestly. After little race 1 contact there between Beans and I do admit that was my fault on that, a little bit of argy-bargies, but kind of came back with race 2, knew I had one goal in mind, was to go out there, go from P9 and win, and, you know, got the drive done, felt like the pace was there, felt comfortable, having driven on this track a bunch of times, you know, felt like I was going to be strong, so did that, worked my way up, got to Rice Pito, and then kind of let me by thinking that like we could work together and pull away from Camden. But you know, the draft strong, Camden was catching up, and then I got lucky with Wayne Buttermore at the end actually with that little bit of draft on the back straight there, so it helped me kind of make sure he wouldn't be too close enough to dive bomb me, and just kept it together and got the win.
Well, it was another great race, you know, no question, and a great qualifying effort, and then to see that kind of come unglued early, but to see your fight back in this one, and when you got up there to Nicholas, you guys were pretty clear for a while, and it looked like it might just be mano a mano between the two of you, and I mean, Camden got close at the end, but not quite close enough. What was going through your mind when you were looking back and seeing Camden closing?
Yeah, no, that was actually something I was really monitoring the whole time, because in my mind it was like, okay, well, there's two options. Either I get to him fast enough and we can push away and see if that can work for the next like 10 minutes, or I get to him later on in the race, like 5 minutes left, like 4 laps to go. Camden's like maybe 1.5 back. At that point I was like, well, you know what? I think he's too far enough. It seems to be like you catch up around 2 to 3 tenths a lap if you get it better than the guys in front. So I was like, at that point, I think if I just keep it together and hold it out in front like that, I think we could get the win. And luckily got it done there. But yeah, I was definitely monitoring behind me because I was pushing a lot to catch up to him, and I knew that my tires were going to be definitely rough for the next few laps. But, you know, got the win in the end and held it together.
Yeah, very cool. I got to ask you, what do you think of this track? I know you've raced there a lot, you said, but do you like it?
You know what? I really like it. Not being from the East Coast myself, I would consider it, you know, my home track. Even though I'm not from Florida, I feel really comfortable every time I jump into it. I felt comfortable the first time I went out there, and the Radicals with Racing Prodigy, it just seemed to always suit my nature of driving with all the fast corners and stuff like that. So really enjoy it a lot. It's a really good track to race at, and you know, the short course one kind of mitigates the whole like drafting thing with being able to catch up easily with that. So it's a lot about driver skill and making sure you're really consistent the whole time, not over pushing, making sure you're good on the brakes and all that. So really enjoyed this format and layout of the track tonight. But you know, overall, I really like Sebring. You know, consider it one of my home tracks.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, yeah, we were talking about this right at the top of the show, that this short club layout with these cars always seems to produce some spectacular racing.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Like, it was a lot of pack racing, especially in the first race when I was like trying to catch back up. Like, you could tell people were really trying to keep it together. Any small mistake and it would potentially lead to a position loss here and there. And then at the end there, people would go side by side all the time. It was a lot of like battling it out and trying to find that extra thousandth of a second at that point to try to hopefully push in front. But this track really made for great racing in the end. People were really fun to race against, and you know, really happy with the performance tonight.
Well, you should be. It was absolutely great, and just a superb run. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Thomas. All right, Greg, wrapping things up here from Sebring. What a night. Again, it got pretty hands-on, but we're headed back to another one of our favorite racetracks in the next week. That's Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Lots to look forward to every time we head out there.
Oh my God! One of the highest speed roller coasters you can ever imagine. Such a great track, and really looking forward to that one. And wanted to remind everybody, next round tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is a group practice at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. All you have to do is go to fullsendsims.com, and that'll get you right back into it and give you an opportunity to do a little bit of practice at that track. We're going to scroll through our great sponsors here as we say goodnight to you. We appreciate it. Again, next Tuesday night, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Looking forward to that one. Thanks for joining us here at the Sebring Short Course. For Finney and DeCuna doing another great job on the cameras. And for Kyle, I'm Greg Creamer. We'll see you next Tuesday night.